Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Francis and I talk all things career breaks, travel, redefining your life on your own terms. So for those of you who don't know, I also write on Substack, and I recently completed a 10-part series on various career break topics from my ebook and my workbook. And it's called Unapologetic Rest. I'll leave a link to my Substack down below so that you can catch up on it. You see me looking down, it's because I have lots of notes. But anyway, when I finished this series, I thought it would be a good idea for me to reach out to my subscribers and ask them what burning questions they have about career breaks. Anyway, so I sent out a survey, got back tons of really great feedback about what people wanted to know, different kinds of questions. So as you can see, I'm outdoors, so you're gonna probably see me doing this because flies, and you'll probably hear the cars and the planes and everything going by. But I think you got a pretty good view, so it's okay. It's all good. Anyway, interestingly enough, one piece of feedback that a lot of the Black women that answered the survey was that they wanted to see more on YouTube. And now I know I have been slacking when it comes to YouTube. I haven't been on here for a while. So I decided to get back on here and give the women what they asked for. So I'm going to be taking the questions from that survey and basically building content based on what you asked and what you wanted to know. And there was so much that people asked, so many questions, really good questions. A lot of people are curious about not only my career break, but career breaks in general, and how someone can make it work for them or for themselves. And so I'm going to use the experience that I had from my own career break. That was actually 2 years. It wasn't planned to be 2 years, but that's the way it turned out. But I'm going to try to keep this brief and to the point, because I know we all have short attention spans. I know I do. I don't necessarily want to be looking at a video forever. So but for the Substack lovers, I will say I'll still be over there. I'll still do my writing and stuff, because one of the gifts that my career break gave me was discovering that I really enjoy writing and how much I enjoy writing. So I intend to keep writing on Substack. And I'm gonna try to do a better job of keeping up with YouTube as well. So the first question, or one of the questions that I got, it's actually a 3-part question. I'm only gonna answer 2 parts of that question today, but on another video I will tackle the other part of the question. And so the first part of the question was, how do you readjust after a break? I did answer the first part of the question. The second part of the question was, how much time did you take off? And so for me, when I took my break, initially I intended for it to be no more than a year, and then I would get back to life as I knew it, or I thought I knew it. And that year turned into 2 years, and it turned into 2 years for a number of reasons. The primary reason was because I could afford it, and the second reason was that first year didn't turn out to be or go the way that I wanted it to be to go, because of stuff that happened in my family, and just in general, it wasn't flowing the way I intended for it to flow, because I had some familial responsibilities, which I can talk about in another video at another point. And so while I did travel, I didn't travel the way that I wanted to, or that I had planned to. And so the second year, I really began to take advantage of the plan that I had initially when the whole thing started. So in answer to the question, it was supposed to be a year max, and it turned out to be 2. And to be quite honest, there are times that I still feel like I'm on it, And a lot of that is because I didn't go back to life as I knew it prior to the break. And so, but the main part of the question was, how do you readjust to not being on a break anymore? And so I think one of the reasons why it's so hard, or in general, now 1 second, the main reason, oops, I'm losing my camera here. The main reason why it's so hard is because when you take a break, and this is just for anybody, not just for me, and you come back, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year, whether it's 3 months, you're not the same person. And everything about the way you feel changes, the way you feel about work, the way you feel about life in general, the way you feel about responsibilities and stuff like that. And so when mine ended, or I should say when I ended it, what's the word? Officially ended it, I would have to say, was like middle of this year. And no lie, I was physically sick. I remember I was leaving Spain, Madrid, and I started to feel physically ill. And I think it's a combination of things. I think I may have been a little tired, but I think the main reason is because I knew that I was going back to the US, back to, I guess, a normal, quote unquote, life that deep down inside I didn't want to necessarily go back to the status quo. And so, and nobody warns you about this, about how you're gonna feel, what it's gonna feel like. But I was physically sick, headache, body aches, no appetite. It was just really, afternoon, it was just really a difficult time. I remember I was on the plane and the flight attendant was like, can I get you anything else? And I was like, there's no cure for what I have right at this moment. And so anyway, that's a big thing. You change as a person, especially for me being, out of the workforce in a different frame of mind for 2 years, pretty much. There goes the plane. I just was not the same person, and that changed everything about the way that I re-entered life as I knew it then. So today I'm going to talk about that, what surprised me, and some of the things that I did personally to help me ease back into real life after months of being on a break and traveling around the world and just for a long time. So first thing is, it doesn't matter how long it's been. Like I said, short break, long break, you're not going to be the same. You're not going to come back to the same version of yourself as you knew it before you went on this break. One of the biggest surprises for me was the identity shift during my break, because I finally had time to slow down, to listen to my body, to stop feeling like I always had to be productive. And that was very hard for me. Coming from the corporate mindset where you gotta always be working, you gotta always be on, not even just work, but as a parent, as the child of aging parents, somebody always needs something, or there's always something that has to be done for someone that you love, or that you're taking care of, or whatever. So when it was time for me to return, there was I felt disconnected from those old routines. You have to really shift your mindset. And that can also mean a lot of times letting go of certain relationships, certain friendships. I know that, you probably have heard this before, when people talk about, oh, I took time off and I went on a break, and oh, must be nice. That kind of like, it's almost like scorn because you're doing something or you did something that they wish that they could have done or had done. And to be quite frank, anybody can do this. It's all about prioritizing what's most important to you, taking care of yourself and what your needs are, putting your needs above others, and preparing for it. And which is one of the things, or some of the things that I talk about in Unapologetic Rest, but we'll talk about that later or towards the end. These career breaks, they change your relationship with work. Travel changes your relationship with time, because you basically have the time to do and to come and to go as you please. Waking up without an alarm clock, that changes your relationship with time. Rest in itself changes your relationship with yourself, because you get to give your body the rest that your body needs. And for the majority of the time, especially for Black women, and I talk about this in the book, it's like we are conditioned to always perform and produce and take care of others, and putting ourselves, I don't want to say second, but sometimes last. And so I want to go back a little bit to the travel part, especially this year. The first part of this year, the first 4 months of this year, I traveled extensively and met a lot of other Black women traveling as well in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, that region of the world. And all of them that I've spoken to, the responses have always been the same, because it really changes, travel really changes your sensory, the senses of the world. You're not in a familiar environment. You're not around the same people. And sometimes it takes you getting yourself out of an environment to see not only what you've been missing, but how much better your life can be. Your cultural expectations obviously will change because you're in a different culture, a different region. Also, your sense of time. And I say your sense of time because in America, everything is rush, 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 go, go, go. In other parts of the world, it's the exact opposite. You could be, and I've experienced this in Mexico, I've experienced this in Vietnam, and practically all of Asia, where you go into a restaurant, a cafe, or whatever, you place an order, whether it's coffee, food, water, whatever it is, and you sit at your table, at the bar, wherever you want to sit, and you enjoy what you're enjoying, and you can be there all day. And no one tells you got to turn the table over, or this table is reserved for someone else. You can stay there all day and just enjoy your time. The other thing that they don't do, what is common in the U.S., is like constantly coming to you. Can I get you anything else? Do you need anything else? Da, 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 da. They don't do that. They let you be. And again, so your time is yours, and you don't have to worry about being rushed to get out of a restaurant, to free up a table. Once you're there, that table is yours, and you're expected to take your time and enjoy whatever it is you're eating, enjoy whatever it is you're drinking, and whatever time you're taking. The next thing I want to talk about is easing back into your transition. One of the things that I found myself that worked for me and that I had to do was starting with little things. Don't try to take a huge bite out of the apple and jump back into the routines that you're accustomed to, or you were accustomed to prior to your break, and just run, go. Start with the small things. And for me, one of the small things that I started with that helped me and still helps me, I'm still doing it even to this day, is stretching. And I do it twice a day. Every morning as I get up, I do my stretches. Before I go to bed, do my stretches. It only takes a few minutes, but it helps so much. Another reason why it helps, and you can learn more about this or see this experience that I had, was my medical experience in Vietnam where I fell. And so once you see that video, it's already there. I'm going to link it also in the playlist. You'll see why that is so important for me and my livelihood, and for me to keep on taking care of myself, taking care of my body. The next thing is easing into responsibility. You don't have to do everything at once. Choose the things that feel aligned with you, with the new you, because again, you're not the same person that you were prior to this break. And I'm sure you're familiar with the phrase, no is a complete sentence. And I know that's something that I really embrace. I no longer feel the need to always say yes to things. If I don't want to do something, spirit isn't moving me, I'm not doing it. And people might be upset or whatever, my feelings might be hurt, but no one's feelings are more important than yours. And it's time for you to put your feelings first. The third thing is reevaluate your old life. Look at the things that don't fit anymore. Look at the things that no longer serve you, and the things and the people that need to be released, and let them go. Give yourself permission to be different, because again, you're not going to be the same person, and it's okay. And you just need to give yourself permission to say, and really and truly, that is, I think, the thing that most women skip, because you feel like you got to go back to your old life, or the things that you used to do, the person that you used to be. And I think for finality, it's like, let yourself, or let your future be flexible. And I struggled with this myself. You don't have to have all the answers right away. It takes time. Sometimes clarity for the next chapter, or for what comes next, comes after the transition back to the regular world, and not before it. And so I want to wrap up. Again, I said I wasn't going to be on here too long. I just want to remind you, finally, you're not supposed to bounce back into what was. You're supposed to move forward differently, intentionally, and fully, in your own power, for you. Being on a break changed you for a reason, and you're meant to take those changes with you and do what works best for you with the changes. And so finally, if this video supported you and you felt, you felt something from it, give it a like. Definitely subscribe, because like I said, I'm gonna do better. I have a lot of questions to answer based on my survey, which means that I have more things to come back on here and talk about. I'm also going to drop the link to purchase the Unapologetic Rest workbook and ebook. It's actually a pair. And so you start with all the chapters. I think it's about maybe 10 chapters of all the things that you need to do to take your own career break. And the workbook, once you've gone through all the exercises and stuff in the workbook, and you finish with a complete plan specific to you and your needs about how you can make your own career break come true. So, I'll see you guys on the next one.